All right, standing by right now, live in Havana, is Austen Iverigh. He's a British writer, journalist, commentator on religious and political affairs with a PhD from Oxford University. Now, he's also the author of the widely acclaimed book, The Great Reformer, Francis and the Making of a Radical Pope. Mr. Iverigh, thank you so much for being with us. I want to ask you the first question. How radical do you expect the Pope to be while he's in Cuba? Will he directly challenge the Castro government to fully open up the communist nation to the church?
No, because that's not what popes do, and that would be, bad form, bad manners. That's not the way popes work. What Francis has already done, though, in his speech at the airport when he arrived in Havana yesterday afternoon, and just now in his homily at Mass today, is he's beginning to point to a new kind of future to Cuba. For Cuba, one that reconciles its desire for independence, its nationalist traditions, with its faith. So there's a it's like a subtle, but not so subtle, really attempt by Francis here to broaden the basis of Cuba's self-understanding in order to give it really a new kind of a future. This is all about building a post-communist island nation. So one of the very important things he said yesterday was that Cuba has a vocation as a reconciler, as a kind of key between East and West, North and South. So and today in the homily, a very beautiful homily about service, but very clearly saying here, service is about service of people, not ideas. So there's some very important long-term evangelizing going on here in this visit.
Austin, what was the reaction to President Castro's remarks yesterday at the airport? Because he managed to get in a couple of digs at the American government, and he talked about the boycott and the embargo. Then he also pointed out many of the good things that are going on in the Cuban society right now. How is it playing down there in Havana?
Look, no leader misses out on the opportunity of a papal visit when the world media spotlight is on them. They have a few minutes to give their propaganda, because that's really what it was. I've never known a prime minister or president to do that when a pope comes. I actually don't think anything he said was particularly surprising at all. What was more remarkable, I think, was Francis's own speech, which was full of, I thought, very powerful messages. For example, addressing Cubans who for some reason couldn't be present. Well, everybody's taken that, and I think they should to mean political exiles and political prisoners. But also giving a greeting to Fidel Castro via his brother Raul, acknowledging the Castros as it were, the leaders of Cuba, which they are. He's acknowledging their legitimacy, because that is how the Cuban people view them. And then going on to really say some quite remarkable things about freedom and nationality. And that really is the great theme of this visit. I've followed now Francis's visits to many countries, and he's now at his nationalist, people-building best. And I think we're going to get more of this in the course of today and tomorrow.
Father Augustino here. Just a quick question about your comment on his homily, of how he was talking about service isn't service of an ideology, but it's of people. How do you think the Cuban people are receiving this message?
Well, I think, the Catholics that I've spoken to here, I went to what's called a Casa Mission the other night, which are these remarkable kind of house groups, I suppose we would call them. In the parish I went to in central Havana, the parish of the Miraculous Medal, there are 120 of these groups. Each one has about 20 people in them, 120 in that parish alone. And 2/3 of them, the parish priest told me, don't go to Mass. There's not a great Mass-going tradition in this country for all kinds of reasons. But I was able to spend the evening with these 20 people, and really they spoke of hoping that this papal visit will help to accelerate the openness and the reforms. What Cubans really care about is being isolated. What they care about is being cut off from their families in Miami. They absolutely hate the U.S. embargo, which Raul Castro, and I totally agree with him, described as immoral, which is the Church's view here and the long-standing view also of the Pope, that the U.S. embargo is entirely, it's just a very, very evil, wrong thing. It does condemn this island to isolation and to poverty. And one woman cried and said, during the prayers, during the intercessions, and said, I just pray that the embargo and all that evil will be lifted from us. And I think they see Pope Francis, as an ally in this, as their friend, as somebody who's going to help to lift some of the oppression from this island, which clearly you feel. I mean, people do feel tired. I was very struck, by the way, just now at Mass, how people were very quiet. They didn't really know the responses. There wasn't whooping, the kind of whooping and clapping that you normally get at papal masses just now at the end. I get the sense of a people that's really quite tired and really quite downtrodden and, of course, very, very poor, really now hoping. And this is above all what this visit is about. It's about healing wounds, building bridges, but it's also about saying to the Cuban people, you know, we're going to build a new future for you.